Have you ever felt like you did everything right? You cared, you respected, you were always sincere, yet still ended up hurt, left behind, or worse, labeled as too nice? Have you ever wondered why some men don't seem to try that hard, yet women become deeply drawn to them, while you, despite all your effort, can't seem to make her truly want to stay? The answer isn't in looks, status, or words. It lies in psychology and the hidden instincts within women that most men have never truly understood. Stoic philosophy views the world as a mirror. It doesn't tell you to change others, but teaches you to understand their nature so you won't get pulled into emotional chaos. This is especially true when it comes to women, because between reason and emotion, women act on emotion first and justify it with logic later. That's not their fault. It's simply how psychology is naturally structured, and if you don't understand that, you'll keep playing a game whose rules you never learned. Women are not fragile beings who need saving. They are strong, complex, and yet they dream of a man who takes control. They say they want peace, yet they live for system of emotional responses so intricate that even they don't fully understand themselves. They say they want safety, yet they are drawn to uncertainty. They say they want gentleness, intense emotions. It may sound contradictory, but it's actually a law of nature. People don't crave what they have. They crave what they feel. And women, more than anyone else, live in that world of emotion. In this video, we'll explore the 10 instinctive weaknesses of women, the things that make them fall in love, desire deeply, and even lose reason in front of a man who knows how to make them feel. This isn't about manipulating them, but about mastering yourself, knowing when to move forward, when to stop, and when to stay silent. Because sometimes the silence of a man with true composure can move a woman more than 1,000 promises ever could. The first weakness of women that men need to understand is the power of touch. There is nothing simpler than a touch, yet nothing holds greater power. In a woman's world, touch is not just an action, but a language that transcends words and logic and reaches straight into instinct. A single touch can make her feel safe, but it can also make her lose control. It is the fine line between emotion and reason, between trust and desire. And that is why understanding how a man touches the world is understanding the state of his inner self. Women are more sensitive than men in every sense, especially touch. When you touch a woman, her body releases oxytocin, the hormone of connection which slows her heartbeat, deepens her breathing, and creates a feeling of trust. But what makes a touch truly powerful doesn't come from the hand. It comes from the energy within the one who touches. A man who touches with haste, desire, or lack of control will make a woman pull away. But a man who touches with calmness, with presence, with the awareness of what he's doing, will make her feel instinctively safe. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The body is the instrument of the soul." When you touch, you let your soul speak in place of words. A Stoic man never touches just to seek pleasure. He touches to share a sense of peace. When his hand rests on her shoulder, it doesn't demand or possess, it says, "You're safe here." Women can feel that even when you don't say a single word, because they don't listen with their ears, they listen with their senses. Modern psychology calls this the language of touch, one of the most powerful forms of human communication. But Stoicism goes deeper. Touch is not just a connection between two people, it's a measure of self-control. A man who cannot master his own desire will always touch at the wrong time, in the wrong way, and for the wrong reason. In contrast, the man who knows how to hold back, to contain his energy, to let distance work in his favor, is the one who draws women toward him without them even knowing why. The second weakness highlighted in Stoic philosophy is the taboo effect. Women often say they want a good man, kind, caring, and safe. But ironically, these men are often forgotten. The men who are a bit hard to figure out, unpredictable, or slightly forbidden tend to captivate them the most. The reason? People are drawn to what they cannot have. The Stoic man understands this well. He doesn't play games, nor does he try to be distant. He simply refuses to make things predictable. He doesn't always reply immediately, isn't always available, and doesn't let emotions dictate his actions. He connects enough to create intrigue, but leaves enough space for her to think of him, miss him, and want him more. However, the taboo effect isn't manipulation, it's self-mastery. A Stoic man doesn't need attention to feel valuable. He lives by his own principles and doesn't let others' emotions define him. Because he doesn't need validation, he becomes desirable. True value comes from not needing to be chased, but from knowing you are enough. When you can walk away without fear, you become unforgettable. In a world where everything is easy to get, being hard to reach makes a man rare and priceless. The third weakness is why drama makes her addicted. Women often say they want a peaceful relationship, yet they're drawn to men who make them feel every emotion. They crave safety, but also excitement. They say they're tired of drama, yet they return to it again and again, like addicts. In reality, women aren't addicted to love. They're addicted to emotion. When a woman's emotions fluctuate from joy to worry, from closeness to distance, her brain releases dopamine, serotonin, and adrenaline, creating a thrilling, addictive feeling. The more emotional ups and downs there are, the more she craves them. A stable relationship doesn't trigger this reaction. It's safe but dull. That's why men who make women feel whether happiness, curiosity, or frustration are remembered most. Not because they are perfect, but because they make her feel alive. Emotion is proof of existence for women, and if a man can awaken that, he earns a special place in her mind. Women don't want drama, but they need emotion. The problem is most men are either too intense or too distant. The wise man strikes the perfect balance, warm enough to move her, calm enough to reassure her. He's not the storm or the still pond. He's the ocean, deep, quiet, but capable of rising at any moment. And that's why in a chaotic world, women can never forget the men who know how to stay peaceful amid intensity. The fourth weakness is the voice that controls the mind. Women don't just listen with their ears, they feel with their whole bodies. And in their world, a man's voice is not merely a sound, but a signal of safety, power, and inner strength. A calm, deep, steady voice can make them trust, while a rushed, unstable tone can make them uneasy, even if the words themselves are right. Because a voice doesn't just carry information, it carries the man's state of mind. When a man speaks, women don't just hear his words, they hear the emotion behind them. They may not know why they feel safe or anxious, but their bodies react before their minds can analyze. And that reaction is real. Psychology has shown that rhythm, tone, and vocal stability directly affect the listener's emotions, especially women, whose emotional nervous systems are far more sensitive than men's. That's why a Stoic man never raises his voice to be heard. He speaks slowly, clearly, and with purpose, because he understands that true power doesn't lie in volume, it lies in energy. When he speaks, he's not trying to prove anything. He's simply speaking from a grounded place within his mind, a place untouched by other people's reactions. And women, even without realizing it, feel that instantly. When you speak to a woman, you're not just communicating, you're guiding her emotions. A man who speaks hastily makes her feel drained. A man who speaks defensively makes her tense. But a man who speaks calmly, with a steady tone and presence, naturally helps her relax. Because that voice tells her, I'm in control of the situation, and you don't need to worry. In a world where women constantly feel the need to protect themselves, a voice like that becomes a place of rest. The subtle jealousy effect is also one of women's weaknesses. There's something women rarely admit. They are not only attracted to appealing men, but also to men desired by other women. It's not because they're selfish, but because deep within their instincts lies an unconscious competitive mechanism. They don't just want a good man, they want the man who is recognized as good. And when they see other women showing interest in him, a part of them awakens the part that craves to be the one who is chosen. People often measure the value of something by how others treat it. A man who draws attention from many women doesn't need to say he has value. The world already says it for him. But the man who tries to prove his worth through words, effort, or pursuit only makes women suspect that he's hiding something. Women don't feel jealous because they're afraid of losing. They feel jealous because they want to claim an emotional space in a man's heart that no one else has. When she senses that you are a man of value yet you don't belong to anyone, she begins to invest emotionally. to connect, to claim the position others seem to desire. And in that game, the calmer, quieter, and more unpredictable a man is, the deeper she gets drawn in. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Don't chase praise. Live so that praise comes to you." A man's real attraction doesn't lie in making women jealous, but in creating such value that they naturally feel the need to compete for him. When you reach that state, you no longer need to say a word. The world will do the speaking for you. The sixth weakness is the allure of distance. Between two people, there is always an invisible thread. It stretches, trembles slightly, then loosens again. And it is within that fragile space between closeness and separation that attraction is born. Women may say they want someone who is always there, but in reality, what they long for isn't constant presence. It's presence with space. They need just enough distance to miss, to imagine, to feel the ache of absence, because only then do emotions truly come alive. Psychology calls this the tension of desire. When something isn't completely within reach, the brain produces dopamine, the chemical that sparks excitement, curiosity, and longing. But when something becomes too easy to attain, dopamine drops and emotions fade. That's why women aren't drawn to what's already fulfilled, but to what feels almost attainable yet never fully possessed. Attachment doesn't come from possession, but from two people who accept the space between them. Women aren't drawn to the man who's always there, but to the man who makes them want to reach for him. And that can't happen unless you know how to keep breathing room in the relationship enough for her to find her way back to you, enough for her desire to be reborn. Distance, for a weak man, is fear. But for a Stoic man, distance is an art. It is the space where maturity grows, where feelings are tested, where his inner strength is reflected. Only a man who is truly grounded dares to let someone go without panic. And it is precisely when he doesn't hold on that she feels the strongest pull to return. The seventh weakness men should be aware of is the imagination effect. Women don't love with their eyes, but with their minds. They don't need to know everything about you, just enough to let their imagination fill in the gaps. Sometimes it's those very gaps that make them more intrigued than any action could. People don't fall in love with the raw truth. They fall in love with the image of that truth their minds create. A wise man knows not to explain too much about himself. He leaves small fragments, a hint, a smile, a glance, an unfinished sentence, just enough to make a woman's mind want to complete the picture. When a woman begins to imagine, she's not only thinking about you, she's pulling you into her own emotional world. And once you're in her imagination, you've become a part of her mind, not through physical presence, but through the image she can't stop replaying. Humans often project the qualities they wish to see, rather than those that truly exist. This is even more true for women, who are deeply driven by emotion and intuition. When a woman encounters a man who sparks her curiosity, she begins to imagine an ideal version of him. And it's that version, shaped by her imagination, that she falls in love with. Women don't fall for perfect men. They fall for the ones who make them want to know more. Those with untold stories, unspoken thoughts, and eyes that leave them wondering, what is he thinking? The less they know about you, the more they'll want to discover. The power of leadership is another weakness worth noting. A woman may be strong in her career and independent in her life, but in love, she still longs for a man steady enough to lead. Not by commands, but through natural direction, with an energy that makes her want to trust, to follow, and to be fully herself in his presence. A man's greatest allure doesn't lie in his words, but in the quiet certainty behind every decision he makes. A man without direction makes a woman feel adrift. She may love him, but she cannot feel at peace. On the other hand, a man with purpose, principles, and a clear sense of where he's going naturally inspires a woman to slow down and walk beside him. Because in her deepest instincts, a man with direction is a man who creates safety. And that sense of safety doesn't come from wealth or status, but from leadership, from his ability to remain grounded no matter what happens. Human beings, especially women, are naturally drawn to those who display confidence and initiative. But true power doesn't come from dominance. It comes from steadiness. When you know what you want, you don't need to prove anything. When you trust your ability to handle situations with reason, You don't need to raise your voice. Real strength lives in the quiet direction of the calm authority of a man who leads without forcing and influences without needing control. The ninth weakness is emotional addiction. Women aren't addicted to the men they love. They're addicted to the emotions those men make them feel. Every rush of excitement, every loss of control, those are all driven by dopamine. Longing, worry, or desire are the result of oxytocin and serotonin working together. When everything falls apart, they return to the pain, not because they want to suffer, but because the pain reminds them they're still alive. Women don't seek logic, they seek emotional experiences. A man who can make her laugh, anger her, and make her miss him has more power than one who only brings stability. Intense emotions trigger the brain's arousal system, forming a deeper bond than reason alone could create. Ironically, those emotions that make her feel alive also drain her, yet she can't let go. She calls it love, but psychology calls it emotional addiction. Marcus Aurelius said, "A free man is one who is not ruled by his emotions, yet does not deny them." The Stoic understands that while he can't change a woman's emotional nature, he can avoid being overwhelmed by it. When she cries, he doesn't rush to fix it. When she's angry, he stays calm. When she loves, he keeps his reason. He knows emotions are like waves, they rise and fall, and by staying still, you won't be swept away. What women need isn't a man who helps them escape their emotions, but one who makes them feel safe within them. When she's worried, you're the solid wall. When she's scared, you're the firm ground beneath her feet. When she's overwhelmed, you're the calm breath. The wise man's art is not to intoxicate her, but to be the place where she can detox. Love isn't intoxication, it's the ability to stay conscious through it. The Stoic knows you can't stop a woman from feeling you can only remain still enough for her to find peace in you. The final weakness this video wants to discuss is the instinct to submit. No matter how independent, self-sufficient, or strong a woman may be, deep down there exists an instinct she cannot control. The instinct to surrender to the man who makes her feel safe. This has nothing to do with power, status, or dominance. It is a biological response, a natural yielding of feminine energy before the calm strength of masculine energy. And only when a man truly masters himself will a woman be willing to let go of her ego, to trust, to soften, and to return to her natural feminine essence. Many misunderstand this. They believe that to make a woman submit, a man must control, dominate, or assert his authority. But real power never needs to be proven. The more a man tries to prove his strength, the more he reveals his instability. A truly strong man doesn't need to speak. His calm, clarity, and self-control naturally create an energy that makes a woman feel safe. And when she feels safe, she no longer feels the need to control. A woman can only be soft when she feels safe enough to be. She only lets go when she believes the man before her will not hurt her. And the wise man never exploits that trust, he protects it. He doesn't see submission as victory, but as a gift given only to those calm, mature, and trustworthy enough to keep it. The instinct to submit is not a sign of weakness. It is proof of trust. And the man who can make a woman trust him so deeply that she drops all her defenses is the man who has conquered not only love, but also the art of living by Stoic philosophy, mastering himself so that the world willingly follows. After all, what makes a man truly different is not how well he understands every psychological rule about women, but how deeply he understands human nature itself. Because when you truly understand women, you realize a profound truth. They are not mysteries to be solved, but mirrors reflecting your own soul. Women respond to a man's energy the way water reflects the sky. If you are anxious, they feel chaos. If you are calm, they become gentle. If you lack direction, they lose faith. Everything you see in them, from affection to anger, from attachment to distance, is a reflection of what's happening within you. That's why the journey of understanding women is, in truth, the journey of understanding yourself. The 10 instinctive weaknesses of women you've just explored, from the power of touch, the allure of the forbidden, to the instinct to submit, are not tools for control. They are mirrors that teach men to master their emotions, maintain stillness, and act from inner strength. Whenever you see a woman reacting in a way you don't understand, pause and ask yourself, What energy am I giving off? Where have I lost control? That question marks the true beginning of growth. Marcus Aurelius once said, "To understand the world, observe your own mind." When you learn to observe without judgment, you'll see that women aren't truly contradictory. They're simply honest with their emotions. And a wise man doesn't try to fix those emotions. He embraces them with calm. Because love isn't a war between logic and feeling, but a balance between two opposing forces, the steadiness of masculinity and the softness of femininity. If you found these reflections worth thinking about, share your thoughts in the comments. How many parts of this video did you see yourself in? And among the 10 instinctive weaknesses, which one revealed the deepest truth about yourself? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss the next videos. In each episode, we'll continue to dive deeper into Stoic philosophy, human psychology, and the art of living where a man doesn't chase the world, but stands firm enough for the world to come to him.